Hello. I just turned this thing on. I've been sitting here reading my book for I don't know how long. I can't remember. Right now it's July 24 at 25 minutes of 2 in the morning, AM kind of stuff. Listen, I was putting something together in my head, and I wanted to share it with myself, because I'm always sitting here talking to myself, because there I am, right there in the screen here, the movie screen. I was in the book of Acts, and I wanted to read about a particular verse and talk about it. And just before I push the button to turn this thing on, now, I don't hear audible voices. That's not what I'm going to claim. But I get some kind of a nudge that gets my attention. And it brought me into the book of Kings, first book of Kings. So I went back there and I'm reading in that. And in the book of Kings, First Kings, and where I was going to be in Acts, it's talking similar kind of stuff. So that's what God wants me to share tonight. So I'm going to do it. All right, so I got to flip up to Acts. Now here's Paul. He's on his ministry. He's going around and he's talking about God, writing letters to a whole bunch of groups of people and individuals, etc. And he's being clobbered all over the place. The guy ended up getting killed. Paul, whose name was Saul, who was crucifying, persecuting, killing Christians, prior to him actually getting knowledge of the true God. He was doing all the wrong stuff. And here in the book of Acts shows where he's doing all the right stuff. He's following the prompting of God. Exactly what I felt just a few minutes ago. It's hard to explain to somebody. It's like trying to explain the color blue to a blind guy. If you never seen it, you ain't gonna know what it is. All right. I'm in the book of Acts, chapter 17. This is Paul. He's going to Greece. That's where he's at. Athens, Greece. Now, during these days, all the smart, head-thinking guys who sit around talking about stuff, pretty smart guys, but they don't know God. And they talk about religion and gods, plural, all the wrong stuff. Here's Paul walking around, and I'm entering right into the middle of the story here. I'm already almost 4 minutes into this thing, and I didn't say anything cool from the book. Just trying to get myself going. This is what I got to do when I fire this thing up. I got to get myself going. Acts chapter 17 and verse 23. Paul's walking around. Here's all these whoop-de-doo smart guys who are actually pretty stupid. And here's what he said at this particular spot in the story. Verse 23. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, and by that he's talking about the different gods that they worship, the ones that they put a name on or who have carved into a stone, whether it was an animal or a star, moon, anything, the different gods. Some of them they make with hands, like Buddha, the statue of Buddha with the big tummy, and a whole host of other stuff. Let me read this. Check this out. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, all these nut jobs, I found an altar with this inscription: to the unknown God. Just in case they missed one, they put up this little shrine thing and wrote on it, to the unknown God, because they didn't want to mistake and skip over a God that might do them harm or might change their way of living. They try to cover all bases. The unknown God. This is what Paul's going to say to them. Whom therefore ye ignorantly worship, him, the unknown God, him declare I unto you. I'm going to tell you about your unknown God. Wow, I only read this for a couple of minutes, and my throat's already screwed up. Now tonight, I got myself some Dasani water. Different types of stuff I drink. I'm doing a Marco Rubio. And I just took it out of the refrigerator, so it's on the cool side. Here's Paul talking to all these, let's call them college guys, huh? The professors that are dumbasses, right? Even back in this day. Here's Paul, who met Jesus on the road to Damascus. The Jesus. God revealed himself to Paul when his name was Saul. God also revealed himself to me back in 1975. And here, let's see, 75, 25, 35. That's like 44 years ago. And here I am sitting here talking about God. And I swore up and down back in them days, there's no such thing as God. I was wrong. Paul declares God, the living God, to these people. God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things, and hath made of one blood all nations of men for to dwell on all the face of the earth, and hath determined the times before appointed and the bounds of their habitation, that they should seek the Lord. Seek the Lord. All these people are sitting there talking, but they're not seeking God. They got this little spot that says, to the unknown God, but they weren't seeking him. Now, I've said a lot of times, if you seek God, diligently seek God, and then now this is part of a verse, then I add to that verse, if you diligently seek God for the right reason, he says to us, you will find me. The key word there is diligently. Not the, I guess I'll figure out maybe a little bit about God today. No. This takes time. And you got to open yourself up to the Word, and you got to read this whole book a whole bunch of times. That they should seek the Lord, if haply they might feel after him and find him, though he be not far from every one of us. Now, I can sit here and make some explanations on all that stuff right there. But this, and I didn't know it, I thought I was going to continue to talk about this tonight. But God's bringing me into 1 Kings, so I'm going to do that. I have to do it. If you ever feel that nudge from God and go, oh, what's that? On the inside, try to visualize something good trying to prompt you. It's easy to walk down the other road. You see something over here that's not right, you're not supposed to touch it, and you do. It's easy to do that. It's not easy to follow God. It's not easy to diligently seek Him. It's like trying to drain the ocean with a little spoon. One little spoon drop at a time. Line upon line. Precept upon precept. That's how you find out about God. All right, I didn't even flip this thing back to Kings yet, and I'm still talking. There's so much stuff to talk about. Now I'm starting to get excited again, and I'm flipping the book. 1 Kings, chapter 17. Now, we just saw Paul talking to all these smart people that they think they're smart, the whoop-de-doo professors. And God brings us back to this. Let's talk about somebody who has met God and is doing his due diligence. He's following God. We're going to talk about Elijah. I've mentioned Elijah before in my videos. And I've talked a little bit about him. I don't know if I read this on one of them little videos or not, but I sure am going to do it tonight, because that's what I'm feeling inside. Chapter 17 of 1 Kings. It's 2 books of Kings. And Elijah, the Tishbite, that's who he was, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab. Now I'm entering right into the middle of a story in order to find out what happened leading up to right here. You got to read the whole thing before it, because it's all coming together like making the pie. All the right ingredients. You got to read the whole book. I'm just talking about one little spot in it. And I feel the prompting by God to do it. Elijah, the Tishbite. You notice you don't hear any other words like Allah, Buddha. Elijah the Tishbite, who was of the inhabitants of Gilead, said unto Ahab, As the Lord God of Israel liveth, before whom I stand, there shall not be dew nor rain these years, but according to my word. You got to read what led up to this part right here. Elijah just says, you ain't going to get no rain except when I say so. And he's not meaning him. He's repeating what God says. God is prompting Elijah to say this to Ahab. God's prompting me to say this to you. You see how it works? And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Get thee hence, and turn thee eastward, and hide thyself by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. He's telling Elijah where to go and to seek refuge. This is a commandment of God to Elijah, and Elijah obeys. And it shall be that thou shalt drink of the brook, and I have commanded the ravens, those are birds, to feed thee there. Now there's going to be a famine in the land, and God has set apart for his own protection Elijah, the servant, prophet of God, and he's going to take care of him there. And he's using stuff on the earth to do it. He's using the brook with water. He's using the birds to bring some food. Now, I don't know what they're going to bring, but I'm sure you get a couple of thousand birds with something stuck in their mouth, grapes, and whatever else they can carry for you. He's going to have a lot of food. You got to read this thing. This is fantastic. So he went and did according unto the word of the Lord. He obeyed God. For he went and dwelt by the brook Cherith, that is before Jordan. Jordan is the river. We know. Now there's a country of Jordan too. But I don't think it was named Jordan back in them days. And here's where Elijah was fed by the ravens. And the ravens brought him bread and flesh in the morning. Whoa. And bread and flesh in the evening. And he drank of the brook. Now we know what he was fed. And it came to pass after a while that the brook dried up. It's because there was no rain. Because there had been no rain in the land. And I just said it before I read it. I already read this stuff. I read it a whole bunch of times, and it's all in here. And as you get back into it, it all starts coming to you. The story, you're reading the story. You know what's around the curve, but you got to read all the way around the curve to see the picture on the other side. It's a lot of fun doing this. Sometimes you get a little excited. All this stuff that I'm saying here, God is commanding Elijah, and Elijah obeys. And the word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Arise, get thee to Zarephath, which belongeth to Zidon, and dwell there. Behold, I have commanded a widow woman there to sustain thee. He's already got somebody in the next spot to take care of him. Now, I'd like to stop right here and start talking about this widow lady. All of a sudden, here she is, wherever the heck she's at, whatever she's doing, all of a sudden, she gets that nudge or the prompting the commandment from God. How does she respond? According to this word that we're going to read here, she obeys God. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I did one of these videos, and I was talking to a particular lady that I met on a train ride. And she asked me, or shared with me some information that she thought maybe she heard the voice of God in her head, inside, or some kind of a prompting. So I talked about that a little bit. I'm still talking about it today. Maybe that's why God brought me back to this spot here. You see how God actually talks to a person? He's talking with me, prompting me, and I'm doing it. I'm obeying what he's telling me to do. I'm reading his word, and I'm talking to you. Now, I'm over 21 minutes here. I don't like to go too long in case this thing gets shut off. So I'm going to stop this, and I'm coming right back. Now, this is, it's July 24th, and it's almost 2 o'clock right now in the morning. Now, this isn't going to be sent out there for a few days because I'm not the one that actually puts it on YouTube. My son-in-law does that. He's the computer guy. He's my techie. And he's up in, he's at the beach. He's swimming and he's on vacation. So when he gets back, and then he'll take care of the rest of this. So maybe I'll have opportunity to do a couple of these. But I'm going to stop this one, but I'll be right back. This is number 1.